Have you ever wondered what makes a highly successful gold explorer? One gold explorer featured on this channel just 2 months ago has had its value double since then. I'm going to speak to one of the leaders of that team about the similarities between that company and his other project. Welcome to Silver Heist. Thank you to our returning subscribers and guests. We are a channel that likes to hold physical gold and silver. To support my creation, please subscribe. I completely understand that featuring the Newfound Gold company, whose value has doubled in value since I featured them and is now worth $1 billion, does not make me any kind of an expert. Nor does a different company featured here, Uranium Royalty Corporation, who had its stock upgraded to a NASDAQ listing. But by conducting interviews or doing some company research, I think my knowledge of mining companies is up. So I'm not a financial advisor, and the information provided should not be considered advice on picking a particular stock, so please do your own due diligence before making any investment. I would like to thank Nevada King for being a sponsor of this video and making one of their leaders available for this interview. All right, so welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce Dr. Quinton Hennigh. He's an economic geologist with over 25 years of exploration experience. He's on the board of directors of Nevada King and Newfound Gold. So hello, Dr. Hennigh. Thanks for coming.
G'day, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited to hear about your new project, and we'll touch on your success at Newfound Gold in Canada. Dr. Hennigh, you're an industry veteran. Can you tell us which countries you visited in pursuit of gold?
Let's see. Quite a few. Look, I guess I'd put first and foremost U.S., Canada, and Australia. That's where I spent most of my career. But, you know, I've worked in Africa and South America, some in Asia, some in Europe.
Great. And within the U.S., what states have you worked in?
Mainly Nevada, but also Wyoming, Alaska, Idaho, Montana, mostly Western U.S.
And so what's the deepest you've ever been underground in one of your mines?
You know, early in my career when I worked for Homestake Mining, I believe the bottom of the Homestake mine, which is around 10,000 feet below surface, was the deepest spot in the United States. So I've been underground there, but I also went to the bottom of Mponeng, which is a mine in South Africa, and I believe that's about, 3.2 kilometers, so that would be at least 10,000 feet, maybe a bit more.
Wow. So you've been around the world, you go to great depths to look for gold. What makes Nevada special?
You know, Nevada is truly a world-class gold camp. If you look at Nevada, it's produced over 200 million ounces in the past few decades, and that's mainly come from what we call Carlin-type deposits. But there are still at least 100 million ounces of resources and reserves left in the ground to mine. Now, that said, there's a lot of Nevada that has yet to be explored. It might sound crazy given that it's a well-explored area, but if you look at the region, you go up and over mountains and then across valleys. Those valleys between Reno and Salt Lake City, basically the Great Basin, a lot of those valleys have buried blocks of rock that have very little of any exploration. So the next generation of discoveries is actually going to be made looking through those valley gravels into those buried blocks. And I reckon there's probably at least 60% of the terrain has yet to be explored.
So you like Nevada, and now Nevada King controls a lot of land. What can you tell us about Nevada King's staking effort?
Yeah, look, we've focused almost exclusively in what's called the Battle Mountain Trend, the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend. There are several gold belts across Nevada. They're all up in north central Nevada. Carlin Trend has been the most prolific producer over the ages, but the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend is actually catching up. If you look, the major discoveries in, say, the past couple of decades have mostly been on the Battle Mountain Trend. So we've basically staked a commanding land position up and down the trend, and in many cases very close to existing gold deposits. These, again, are focused on areas that have not seen sufficient exploration in modern time, or basically any exploration in modern time. So we're basically looking for the next generation of deposits in the Battle Mountain corridor.
How do you rank in terms of size of operators in Nevada, in terms of your land that you control?
I'm pretty sure we are the largest junior company to hold land. Of course, the biggest landholder, mining company, at least in Nevada, would be the Barrick-Newmont joint venture, Nevada Gold Mines. We rank pretty close behind them. I don't know exactly what the rank is, probably something like third or fourth on the list there, but we are definitely a large landholder.
When you're out staking this land, when did you do it, and were you keeping it a secret from others?
Let's see, the company had some ground when I joined, which is about a year and a half ago. But early last year, I laid out some areas that I thought could be very important additions. So the company's really been staking in kind of the staking mode for at least 18 months now, I would say. Most of that staking has taken place late last year. But look, we're always on the move. We're always collecting more ground.
So another company you've had a role in went public in August 2020, and it's increased 500% since then, and it's got $1 billion US market cap. And it's frankly up 100+% since I did a story on Newfound Gold on my channel 2 months ago. So how has Newfound Gold produced so much shareholder value so fast?
It's an exceptional story. Newfound Gold is exploring actually in a terrain that's reasonably easy to access. It's just west of the town of Gander in Newfoundland. It's in an area that happens to be covered. It's a little different than Nevada, of course, geographically, but there is a sheet of cover, glacial till, that covers most of the region, and therefore a lot of the discoveries have been missed there. So we were very fortunate to acquire a strategic position along a corridor of land along what's called the Appleton Fault. It kind of goes north-south or north-northeast across northern Newfoundland. And it turns out along this fault, there are a lot of little secondary faults, subsidiary faults, that have yielded very, very high-grade gold mineralization. And we're very pleased with the discovery that we've made. It's a matter of stepping out into bold, uncharted territory, especially blind targets like this, meaning buried targets, and starting to drill, wielding a drill around and finding gold.
So you felt you had gold in Newfoundland, and you've embarked on this drilling campaign. So the more drilling you do, the more value of it you've ended up creating. Is that the way the drilling works?
Yeah, it's true. Once you make a discovery, and really that's the beauty of Newfound, is that back in 2019, late 2019, when they were a private company still, drilled the first hole, and it happened to hit hugely. I mean, it's one of the most impressive holes I've seen in my career. It hit something like 19 meters of 93 grams per ton gold. Phenomenal result. We were able to build on that discovery. But like you said, in this early stage, as you start drilling and start producing just jaw-dropping results like this, it's very easy to create a lot of interest from players in the gold space. The gold price is rising. That's not hurting anything either. So we're kind of hitting this just right.
So how is Nevada King going to create shareholder value?
It's actually going to be in a very, very similar way. So if you look at the land position Nevada King has, it's in multiple properties or projects up and down the Battle Mountain Trend. But some of the projects are very advanced in terms of data available. There's historic data and even resources. So, for example, at the Atlanta project, there is an existing resource, but we've collected more data recently and developed targets that we think we can grow that resource substantially. The goal is to find a substantial deposit that a major mining company is going to want to acquire. That's it, pure and simple. As an exploration company, that's kind of your number one focus. Now, we do have other projects that are kind of in the mid-tier that have some data, but not necessarily advanced to a resource. So the Lewis and the Horse Mountain projects, they do have a pretty good data set that tells us there's a lot of gold distributed over a broad area, like district scale potential. But they're going to require more drilling, more work to find the prize, the real concentrated mineralization in those systems. Then we have areas that have seen virtually no exploration. We've got areas that basically are greenfields to the max. They're areas that are covered that are going to require several sets of data to collect over the next few months, and then we can target those. So, we have kind of a suite, if you will, of different levels of projects, any one of which could yield something like the Keats Zone that Newfound has found.
What is Nevada King's cash position with respect to your drilling campaign?
Yeah, look, the company is well cashed up. When they combined with Victory Metals here recently and went public, I believe there's currently a little over 18 million in the bank. So, it's well cashed up. That's going to allow us to get out there and do the hard yards. We can start drilling right away at Atlanta, but we've also got plans to drill at Lewis and Horse Mountain, and even at our Iron Point project, perhaps later this year. So we'll be aggressive. We have plenty of cash and plenty of runway to get out there and do the work.
No debt, and your drilling ideas are fully funded.
Correct.
So inflation seems to be an open secret. Lumber, copper, real estate prices, they're all up. So how do you see inflation, and how does that relate to the case for gold?
Yeah, look, I've talked about inflation a number of times, and my view is that a lot of what you're seeing right now is partly emotionally driven. There's definitely an element. It's almost like the frantic, need to buy toilet paper right at the beginning of the pandemic. There's kind of this palpable sense that prices are rising, and the policies that are driving that, obviously, people trying to help, people with the greatest needs by giving stimulus and so forth out. The problem with that is that when that money ends up in the banks, and then the banks basically have a large balance sheet, and then that translates into lending and other forms of money creation. Basically, you get inflation, and this time it's going to be rampant. I think that they've basically unleashed the genie out of the bottle, and over the next few months, maybe a couple of years, we're going to see a time like we haven't seen in this country for 30 or 40 years, since the 1970s. It's going to be interesting times.
So how does gold protect an investor against inflation?
I view gold as an insurance policy. Some people say, how much did you invest in gold? The way I look at it is this. I say it's not really an investment. You're not buying gold necessarily because you think it's going to go to the moon. You buy gold because you want to make sure that you have an insurance policy so that as currencies get devalued, you have something to fall back on. Now, different people have different comfort levels, maybe 5% for some people, 20% for others, who knows. But, you should view it as an insurance policy, just like you're paying your mortgage every month on your house. You're going to shell out a couple $100 in an insurance premium to make sure if your house burns down, you got something to fall back on. Gold is just like that. Now, that's gold, okay? But where do you get leverage off a rising gold price? You get it in the mining space, okay? You can invest in major mining companies. Sure, certainly that gives you upside to a rising gold price because their margins increase, and that translates to a higher share price. But where do you really see the big lift? It's in junior mining companies, explorers. When you put money into gold miners, gold explorers at this time, in the cycle, in the bull cycle, you stand a reasonable chance of seeing multiples return, especially companies that make discovery in this kind of environment.
Can you give us some background on the Nevada King team leaders, including if they had a role in Newfound Gold?
Yeah, look, okay, Colin Cattell actually is the founder of Newfound, and he's the CEO of Nevada King. So that's the common thread there. Colin's a young guy. He's about 30 years old, and he's up and coming. I mean, this kid is smart. He's going to be the next Eric Sprott in the mining scene. He's investing in a lot of junior mining companies, but he's also actively engaged, for example, in Nevada King and Newfound. But we have a great team beyond that. Okay, we've got Paul Matisik. Paul came with the combination with Victory Metals. Paul is a seasoned businessman in the mining sector. Okay, he's a geologist and geochemist by training, but he's very savvy in the business side. He's taken a number of companies to sale, and sold them for billions of dollars. Okay, so the guy knows how to extract value out of mining companies. We've got Doug Forster. Doug, back in the kind of the depths of the gold space a few years ago, he realized that there was value in this little kind of abandoned company called Crocodile Gold. Managed to bolt it together into Newmarket, and then turn things around. And through discovery of the high grade at Fosterville, was able to sell that to Kirkland Lake for $1 billion. Again, a very good track record there. Craig Roberts. Craig has been in the finance world. He's an engineer by training, but he's been in the finance world. He actually helped me finance the first junior company I was involved with. I've known Craig for many years. So the combination of everybody on the team here is really lending itself to, I think, a very good outcome, very good success.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Look, I would say that if I had to add one thing, I would say my personal experience is this, at least with the company, is that when I agreed to join Nevada King, my mandate is to go out and explore. I want to go find the next generation of gold deposits for future mining companies, and let's make the next Barrick, let's make the next Newmont. So I got that commitment from the guys at Nevada King early on. They said, yes, that's our vision. Let's go make some hay. So I find this an extraordinary opportunity for myself to go out and apply my skills, which is in exploration, to basically go into elephant country and find the next generation of gold deposits.
All right. So if you're going to get involved with a project, you want it to potentially be a big deal.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, Dr. Hennigh, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Robert.
If you'd like to learn more, I have a link in the description to the Nevada King website to accompany presentation. Nevada King is publicly listed on the TSX Ventures Exchange in Canada under the ticker symbol NKG, and in the US as VKMTF. I truly appreciate you watching this video. I hope this content is as much a learning opportunity for you as it has been for me. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thank you for your time.